The good news this morning is that it's not too late. I look at you, you got your whole life ahead of you. I'm not talking to you right now. But for the rest of us, it's not too late. There's still time. It's not too late. God still wants you. It's not too late to be called by the Master into the vineyard. Still work to be done. It's not too late. No matter what's gone before, we can still, no matter what age we are, we can still aspire to be saints. It's not too late. It's not too late to grow in holiness. There's still time. And this is the good news. It's not too late. Now, no doubt we can relate to those hired in the morning when they grumble. Let's face it, we've all been on the job one time or another in our life when people come late in a day and they take the credit. They get the same recognition as us. They get treated the same as us. And it doesn't seem at first fair. But it is fair. We got what we bargained for. Those in the gospel reading, they agreed to the normal, fair, daily rate. And they received that. Is it fair to the disciples when Jesus on the cross says to the one being crucified beside him, Saint Dismas, as tradition has come to call him, Dismas means paradise, and it was to him that Jesus says, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Is it fair that this last moment conversion of the one beside him would gain him entry into the kingdom? I mean, where was he when the other disciples followed Jesus through Galilee and Judea? Where was Dismas? Where was Dismas when they had to sleep on the ground when there was no place for our Lord to lay down his head? Where was Dismas when the other disciples were growing in faith and in love and in virtue? Where was Dismas? He was out robbing people blind, is where he was. He was out practicing the art of thievery. The good thief was. That's where he was. Was it fair that he should receive the same reward as the other disciples? Well, actually, yes. It was for this reason that Christ came into the world, that we might have life and have it abundantly. Not only do we realize it wasn't too late for Dismas, but we recognize in today's gospel passage the extraordinary extravagance of God. I mean, think about it for a moment. Jesus at the wedding feast of Cana made way too much wine. No one complained there. But it was way too much. An extravagant amount of wine. When those who were hungry in the wilderness were fed by Jesus' bread, he made way too much bread. 12 wicker baskets full. He made too much bread. The extravagance of God. When Jesus tells the parable, the one who owes a great debt that could never, ever be paid, Jesus speaks about God's extravagance in forgiving the debt. And he calls us to that same extravagance. When Peter thinks he's being extravagant, Lord, how many times should I forgive my brother? 7 times? 7? It's not extravagant enough for God. No, not 7 times 7. 70 times 7 times. You should forgive your brother. An extravagant amount. Because God's ways are not our ways. And so when we see the extravagance of God, we should not be envious because God is generous. Rather, we should be conformed to that extravagance, to that generosity, to that goodness. Now, I know what some people think. When reflecting on today's gospel passage, some people say, you know, if the reward's the same, why am I laboring in the master's vineyard now? I've got a lot of life ahead of me. I can do a last-minute conversion like Dismas on the cross. And what a tragedy that would be. What a tragedy. How sad. How sad we will be. Take St. Augustine as an example. St. Augustine wrote in his Confessions, "Late have I loved you, O beauty, ever ancient, ever new. Late have I loved you." And I have to think that St. Augustine not only wrote these words, but that he wept these words. He knew better than anyone his sinful past. He knew better than anyone how many wasted years he had let slip through his fingers. Time that he wished that he could have back to serve the Lord. Take St. Paul, the author of our second reading today. St. Paul considered himself to be the least among the apostles. Why? Because he said, because I persecuted the church. St. Paul was so industrious because he lost so many years, because he was aware of his own sinfulness and his own hard-heartedness. It is because of these wasted years, how short life is, that St. Paul would drive himself to keep going. And even as he approaches the end of his life in today's reading, when his heart longs to be with the Lord in the kingdom, he recognizes that to remain in the flesh will enable him to do more for us. St. Paul regrets. St. Augustine regrets entering the vineyard so late in life. And so as we come down this aisle today, no matter what age we are, even if we're young, let us receive Christ and say, today I will go into the vineyard. It's not too late or too early to be a saint, to be holy, to work with the master in the vineyard. It is not too late nor too early to serve the Lord and to be extravagant with the gifts that God has given to each of us.